Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. We're gonna go through everything as usual, but first off, let me remind you that if you're looking for a new exchange or anything like that, check out the partners below and let's get straight into it. During the weekend on Saturday, I posted this chart as a bit of a joke. Well, partially because looked like another nice deviation through the weekend, which I post this most of the weekends when there's like a move that's deviating from where the price closed at on Friday when the futures closed on CME. We tend to get a retrace back to that level. So it was very nice to see that upon posting that we basically went straight back and we're now hovering back to this 52k level, which was kind of what I was looking for. This is basically a repeat of last weekend because if we go back, this is how it worked last weekend. So we also got a deviation below here. Wasn't as deep, and then from there on out it did push higher, and it ended up even trading above it and not closing this gap. So about these gaps, I wanted to get into it shortly. What we tend to see a lot is during a choppy sideways market, these gaps tend to close during the weekend or straight after. But if we go to the CME futures chart, when you get these strong breakouts and strong trends, you tend to leave these gaps open, and rarely they get closed again later on. So here around like 48k, we still have a gap open. These all got closed, so you can see here it works quite well because you're in like a sideways movement. So here's a gap, but it got closed within like hours. Here's one got closed a bit later. But when there's a strong trend, you shouldn't value these too much anymore because this one finally got closed, but much later. Because in these strong trends, the market just doesn't really care, and sure, it's more likely that when you're ranging, that you do close these gaps because obviously price is just hovering between the same price. So once it's pretty close to it, people might start selling or buying in anticipation of the gap closing, and that's kind of what I think it is because there's no real technical thing to it. It's just more of a self-fulfilling prophecy, I think, and the same happens on stocks a lot. So yeah, here's still a tiny one open as well, but it's very minor. And of course, we still got gaps at like 3k and 9k, stuff like that. I do think these gaps can be valuable to look at, but only if you're like within a few percent of it. Because even during the weekend, if you deviate a lot, like let's say you move like 10% away from it during the weekend, I would not be confident in a gap fill anymore anytime close because by that time there's such a big gap and such a big price difference that the odds of it closing are just pretty small, and there's also people are just gonna forget about it, and that's a lot different than when you're trading, for example, like 1% away. So for example, now we're trading at 52k roughly. So basically the gap will be at approximately 52k, or that's where what the price was when the CME closed. So of course, when you're just this much away, like less than a percent, there's probably people that are now buying in anticipation of us reaching 52k, and when we go above, for example, they might sell. So that's kind of how I see it and how it tends to work. So it's not more than a self-fulfilling prophecy, which is the case for most technical analysis. So keep that in mind. So heading onto the higher time frame charts, as I think that's the most important thing right now when we're in this strong trend. I'd say just sit back and relax, enjoy the ride. The time to really put on a lot of leverage or anything, if you're doing it at all, is during the consolidations or the corrections, and not so much after we just rallied this much, I think. Even though I feel like we're now consolidating against this 52k level, which is a high time frame resistance level for BTC. But I do feel like seeing the sentiment and just overall, like the data isn't very overheated just yet. Like it's starting to get a bit more hot, but not that crazy. So I do feel like this 57k level would not be too far-fetched, especially if the ETF flows keep coming in the way they do, because we've been getting like 3 to 600 million in net inflows a day on Bitcoin the past week or so, little more even. So as long as that keeps going, I think 57k would be a decent target to look for in the over the next few weeks. And I don't think we're gonna go straight to autumn highs. I think that's a bit too extreme for now, but a bit higher. Then maybe some consolidation around the halving, and then later on we'll see again. But to be honest, I'm more interested in alts at this point compared to BTC. ETH has been showing some relative strength. Like, it's not outperforming BTC just yet. We'll get into the ETH BTC chart shortly. But it's holding up. So previously, when BTC made such a move, like it rallied like 35%, when it did that around this area, we saw ETH BTC just crater and keep going lower and lower and lower. So during this rally, you can see BTC did 35% and ETH did, let's say 30-ish%. So it's not too bad. Like, you can see here, for the most part, the past 3 weeks or so, ETH BTC has been holding steady. So that's showing some relative strength to me. It's definitely not outperforming just yet, but I do think people are gonna or are already slowly starting to convert some BTC into ETH, or start allocating prior to the ETH ETF deadline, which you got on the 23rd of May. I would assume there's going to be some news surrounding that coming over the next few weeks, and whether that's positive or negative, we might see more pricing in of this ETF on ETH. But ultimately, I do think this, let's say 33 to 3500 level on ETH makes a lot of sense as a higher time frame resistance and target. But of course, we can't rule out this entire area. Like, we touched the 0.5 currently, which it rejected from on the lower time frames. So I would not be surprised to see some consolidation around this area, as nothing goes up in a straight line. But ultimately, this would be a very nice level to look for over the next couple of months, I think, ahead of the ETH ETF. But obviously, it will depend on BTC as well, as I think if BTC goes to like 40k, for example, then ETH BTC would have to rally really hard for it to go up that much. But yeah, let's see. So ETH BTC, main thing I'm still watching for is this higher time frame reversal, like the proper confirmation when we do break both these daily 200 MA and EMAs, as well as this big downtrend line, the yellow one. So approximately here. If we do something like this, then I think we're good for a move to the mid-range and might be even higher. But for this, I do think we're going to need some catalyst in terms of like a positive news around the ETH ETF, something like that. Because currently, I think the ETF has like a 60% probability of getting approved. Well, that's the probability the experts give, which is pretty reasonable, I think. Obviously, I have no insight in how likely this is going to be, or how this works in this the US or the SEC's standards. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. And I think anything positive coming from that side will have a nice impact on ETH BTC as well, and might finally see some outperformance for a while. But yeah, this is nothing strange to ETH. Because here, let's say in throughout this 2021 rally, which BTC during this time saw a massive rally, mostly. Sorry, I'm looking at this one. At the start of 2021, BTC really started moving hard, and you can see ETH BTC just bled for a long time, and throughout this entire area, it was very volatile, but it didn't really move a lot. While BTC was really going up a lot post-COVID era. So it's nothing crazy to see this longer period of outperform or underperformance by ETH, and then every now and then you just get these sharp rallies up where it just compensates everything in a matter of like a few weeks or months. So yeah, let's just patiently wait and see. I do currently own a bit more ETH than I own BTC, just because I think the risk reward on ETH is a bit better on the higher time frames. So Bitcoin dominance, basically the reverse of ETH BTC. I do think we need confirmation below like 52% here for alts to really start outperforming BTC again, like the general alt market. And then eventually, if it would break below like 48%, I do think we're due for like a bigger alt season where we just see like a few weeks of alts outperforming BTC. But this is not likely if BTC goes up or down like a lot. You need BTC to probably range around like a certain level, like let's say 50k for a few weeks or months even, for alts to really start to shine. The total market cap, pretty clean still. I mean, we're just trading this area, I think. So 1.5 trillion is being held, which was something we're looking for. The next logical target would be 2.1-ish. Then on to total 2, which excludes BTC. It just did break above approximately, let's say 860, 870 billion. So upon doing this, I think eventually this could go to this 1.27 trillion area, but it would need a big ETH rally for this to really catch up to the total market cap. Because as you can see, this is basically the same level here on total 2 and just total. And then this level here on total 2 is the same area as we have here on total 1, or like the total market cap. And then total 3, last one. This one is lagging behind even more, but overall looks solid, and I do think we'll head to 600 billion pretty quickly from here. Which then again, you can see all these levels, they're very similar in behavior. But you can just see Bitcoin has been outperforming, so the total market cap looks the best. And then excluding Bitcoin is lagging behind a bit more. And then this is excluding Bitcoin and ETH, which is lagging behind even more. But overall, this tends to see the biggest swings, so both up and down. Anything excluding BTC and ETH tends to have the biggest percentage gains and losses. And then a few altcoins. I think Pepe looks quite interesting. So I've been watching this big range. I think for now this makes the most sense as a proper range low. So around like, let's say 800, whatever you want to call it, to like 1900. So this level got front run a bit, but overall nice step of this area. We have now seen a bit of outperformance by Pepe upon just ETH kind of holding up. So I think as long as we hold above this area roughly, I think we can slowly start looking for these range highs again. Obviously there's been other meme coins like Duck with Head and those kind of things. And these tend to just see like a liquidity rotation between them. So one meme coin is hot and others kind of sell off a bit. We've not really seen like a full-on meme season. Maybe like I think in May of 2023 when Pepe first launched, we had quite a few meme coins doing quite well. But since then they've just mostly been ranging, and then every now and then a new one pops up which does well. But overall I do think Pepe is due for another run, whether it's now or later, we'll see. But looks kind of okay. Seems to have found a floor around this region, and just looking for this range high now over time. Blur, it's really just consolidating against this big resistance, and I do think once we start breaking above here, I think the expansion to like $1 or maybe even above will be pretty quickly. Obviously this is strong resistance, and then 85 cents is a level as well to look out for. But I do think once it clears this region, I don't think this might even just head to all-time highs if the market allows it. Blast is launching soon, so overall I do think this has some positive fundamentals behind it as well in the short term, and just an easy to follow narrative. And especially now, there's some NFTs kind of catching on again. So Pudgy Penguins did flip the Bored Apes yesterday. I'm not sure if they're still ahead, but there's some action going on in NFT land. So of course that will benefit Blur. And yeah, let's just see how this goes. But yeah, 75 to like 85 cents is the level to break to really head higher. Stacks, it's one of my biggest long-term spot backs. I mean, this has just been a nice ride so far. Was able to compound a bit around this 130 level, and since then it just taken off, like it doubled in the matter of like a month or so. So that's great. I mean, it's almost against all-time highs, which was a target we've been looking for since ever since bouncing from this area. So let's just see how this does. Obviously this is has all the Bitcoin layer 2 narrative things, which is very hot right now, so that really causes this to cause such a strong up move. But yeah, I have no desire to sell out of this. I'm just gonna let this do its thing. I mean, there's plenty of altcoins already in price discovery, so why not this one as well? And usually, when in price discovery, the real gains really come, because then the expansion tends to be even quicker. Although, still looking pretty nice, I think. This is due for a move to the range high as well. I mean, so far I've just been ranging between, let's say, 20 and 32 cents. Very interested to see what happens here. Like, let's say we sweep this, or like we head higher above this range high and we hold it. Then I do think this is just, well, it's going to be in price discovery, so who knows where it heads. If we do see a rejection around here, then we might need some more consolidation. But overall, I do think this is still a hot coin, new coin. These tend to do well over time. So looking for this move to like 30 cents for now, and we'll see from there. And then lastly, coin. Obviously, this is not a coin. This is Coinbase, the stock. So we were looking for this retest of 115, let's say. We got it, and since then, I mean, it rallied quite a lot. So it even overshot my initial target of what was I looking for, like 160. So that was nice. I mean, I sold some of this, but for now, I mean, just letting it do its thing. I do think this will eventually attack this 200 level again. But overall, this is mostly tied to the overall crypto momentum. So Bitcoin goes up, Coinbase goes up, vice versa. So yeah, if you're looking to get more exposure, even in your stock portfolio, then these stocks can be good to look at. But overall, I think in the longer term, Bitcoin or something will outperform these. And personally, I do have my crypto portfolio and my stock portfolio, so I'm not looking to allocate too much crypto stocks into my stock portfolio as well, because it's really made for just lower risk, more steady gains, and I'm keeping the higher risk taking within my crypto portfolio, but still worth looking at. And so far, this has been just trading pretty nicely around these levels. So definitely keep an eye on coin. Also to gauge like overall strength towards crypto from like the US investors. All right, that's all. Thank you all very much for watching. Wish you all a good week ahead.